This is the difference. Most importantly, I do not want to criticize anyone. I am grateful to America for all the help during this war. America has supported us, and I have always said, we are grateful to the White House, grateful for the bipartisan support. It was there, and I am very grateful that it continues. But President Biden was not able to end this war. I am confident that President Trump can do it. I think that will be the main difference.
This is my video update on this Wednesday midday, July the 16th, coming to you from Moscow. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with some reaction to Trump's 50-day ultimatum and 100% tariffs on day 51. And we have the Kremlin. They have responded to Trump's ultimatum, and Dmitry Peskov, the Kremlin spokesman, said that Trump's statement is very serious, but they're going to need to study what Trump is saying. And then if Putin sees fit, he will respond to this ultimatum. That was pretty much the Kremlin's response to Trump's 50-day ultimatum. We'll take a look at what Trump said. It's very serious. It's very serious what Trump has announced. We're going to study it, and then we will get back to you. Right? That's the response from the Kremlin. Lavrov, he is in China at I believe at a Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting, and he met with Xi Jinping, and he gave a press conference yesterday, and he was asked about Trump's 50-day ultimatum. And Lavrov said there were 50 days before and there were 24 hours. There were also 100 days. We went through all of that. So that was Lavrov's comment. Lavrov also said that the EU and NATO, they are the ones pressuring Trump. This is according to Lavrov. He believes that Trump is being pressured in an improper way, Lavrov said. It's improper pressure that he is getting from the European Union and from NATO to continue to escalate with Russia and to place some sort of sanctions or tariffs on Russia. So let's go this way. So that was Lavrov's statement. I don't know if I agree with Lavrov saying that it's Trump being pressured by the European Union and by NATO. I think Lavrov is being very diplomatic towards Trump, right? I think Trump is well aware what he is doing, and I don't think it's the EU and NATO putting pressure on him. But anyway, that's Lavrov diplomacy in action, right? So China has responded to the 50-day ultimatum. Well, mainly China is responding to the 100% tariffs, right? That's what China is responding to, and their response, because the 100% tariffs are saying that on day 51, if there is no resolution to Project Ukraine, then countries that are trading with Russia, China, India, Brazil, Turkey, then they will get 100% tariffs placed on them. No difference anymore between tariffs and sanctions. It's become the same thing, both weaponized. And China's response to the 100% tariff threat, China said that they are going to deepen ties with Russia. That's China's response, man. Predictable, absolutely predictable, right? So it was the Biden White House that was being blamed for making the terrible, dumb move of bringing China and Russia closer together, right? That was the criticism, the geopolitical criticism of the Biden administration. They made the catastrophic error of bringing China and Russia closer together. And Trump, the Trump White House, as they were campaigning, they said that they would not make this mistake. Biden has no understanding of foreign policy and geopolitics, and he made a very stupid move in forcing Russia and China to get closer together. And Trump vowed that he would not be making these same errors. Well, the UK Telegraph has an article with the title, "China Vows Deeper Support for Russia After Trump Threat." So basically, Trump is doing the same thing that the Biden White House did. Just as the Biden White House brought the two countries closer together, this tariff threat against Russia and against China and against India and against Turkey and against Brazil, what it's going to do is that it is going to bring all of these countries closer together. That is going to be the result of his tariff threat. If he actually implements this tariff threat. Most likely at the end of 50 days, we'll probably get another 50 days. But we'll see. We'll see. Trump was asked by reporters yesterday about the 50-day ultimatum. And Trump said that 50 days is really not that much time. That was his response, making it appear as if he was not being lenient on Russia, right? Because that's what a lot of war hawks in DC are making this out to be. Trump is letting Putin and Russia off the hook once again by giving them a 50-day ultimatum. And Trump's response to that analysis was that 50 days is really not that much time. So that's Trump yesterday speaking to reporters.
I don't think 50 days is very long, and it could be sooner than that. I don't think 50 days is very long. You should have asked that same question to Biden. Why did he get us into this war? You should ask that question. Yeah, and what did he tell you? Why did he get us into this war? You know why he got us in? Because he's a dummy, that's why, and you don't cover it right. But you should be asking that question to Biden. Why did he get us into this war? Because he's incompetent.
And let's see. Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham decided to chime in. Of course, Lindsey Graham is going to chime in. And he posted on X, actually 3 posts on X. Yeah, Lindsey Graham yesterday was on fire. Lindsey Graham on fire. He posted on X warning China. He warned Ireland. I'll get to that in a second. And of course, he warned Russia, and he warned countries that trade with Russia on day 51. So let's start with China. Graham posted on X that China needs to stop funding Putin's war machine. That is what Graham posted. That was his message to Chinese officials. Stop propping up Russia's war machine by purchasing oil. So that was his warning there. And then to Ireland, he is warning Ireland. Has nothing to do with Russia, actually. He warned Ireland to not boycott Israel. That was Graham's message to Ireland, or else. Don't you dare boycott Israel, or else bad things are going to be happening, according to Lindsey Graham. And he was responding to a Hill article, which was talking about Ireland's boycott of Israel. Lindsey Graham said, "I hope that Ireland will reconsider their efforts to economically isolate Israel as they are in a fight for their existence. I do not believe these efforts would be well received in the United States, and they certainly would not go unnoticed. Got that, Ireland? You have been warned by Lindsey Graham. And then we get to Lindsey Graham's warning of Russia, warning towards Russia and towards countries trading with Russia. Lindsey Graham posted on X, POTUS's announcement yesterday about sending American-made weapons paid for by Europeans to Ukraine through NATO was welcome news. Equally important was his statement that if the fighting had not ended in 50 days, he would impose up to 100% tariffs on countries buying cheap Russian oil, propping up Putin's war machine, hitting Putin where it hurts the most. If Putin and others are wondering what happens on day 51, I would suggest they call the Ayatollah. If I were a country buying cheap Russian oil, propping up Putin's war machine, I would take President Trump at his word. Notice how Graham always uses cheap Russian oil. Because other oil is not cheap or expensive or anything. It's the Russian oil that's cheap. It's just cheap, man. It's just not good. Why are you purchasing that cheap Russian oil when you can get that exquisite, refined U.S. oil? That premium U.S. oil. That is what Graham is implying here. He always says that. Whenever he writes oil, he always puts cheap Russian oil. Russian oil, cheap, blah. U.S. oil, premium, good. Oh, man. Anyway, he says, if Putin and others are wondering what happens on day 51, I would suggest they call the Ayatollah. What does that even mean, man? Honestly, I'm asking, what does that even mean? So on day 51, if there's no resolution to Project Ukraine, on day 51, what exactly is going to happen, Senator Lindsey Graham? that needs the consultation of the Ayatollah. They need to ask the Ayatollah what's going to happen. What's going to happen? Is the U.S. going to send bombs into Russia, into China, into Brazil, into India, and hit the side of a mountain? What exactly is he implying here? On day 51, these countries need to consult the Ayatollah. I have no idea what Lindsey Graham is meaning. What kind of threat is this from Lindsey Graham? But whatever kind of threat it is from Lindsey Graham, I don't know. I think all these countries should take it seriously, right? Because Lindsey Graham, he's not playing around, man. He is not playing around. He means business, Lindsey Graham. When he gives a warning, you better take that warning seriously. Just ask the Ayatollah. If you do not take that warning seriously, then some bunker buster bombs are going to hit the side of a mountain at a cost of $500 million to the U.S. taxpayer. So, what else? What else? Mark Rutte, he decided to chime in on Trump's comments. And the NATO CEO, he also said that China, Brazil, and India should absolutely take Daddy's warnings very, very seriously. That is what Mark Rutte said. Mark Rutte, when he speaks for Daddy. You always got to remember that. So when he tells the media, China, India, Brazil, they need to listen to what Trump is saying and stop trading with Russia, or else. Then that's basically Trump speaking. When Rutte speaks, it's like Daddy speaking. So that was Rutte's message. But we are getting reports that a bunch of countries, NATO members, are not so hot on the idea of paying for the weapons and sending them to Project Ukraine. France is saying that they're not going to take part in the purchasing of weapons on behalf of NATO, because NATO can't really purchase the weapons from another NATO member. NATO can't really purchase from the United States. That's not what they're set up to do, and then send those weapons to Project Ukraine. So the member states are going to have to purchase the weapons and send them to Project Ukraine. And France is coming out and saying, nah, we're not so hot on that idea. I believe Czechia, the Czech Republic, has said that they're not going to take part in the purchasing of weapons to give to Project Ukraine. And Germany is flip-flopping. Yeah, Germany is flip-flopping back and forth. I've seen reports saying that Germany is not going to take part in the purchasing of weapons to send to Project Ukraine. And I've read reports saying that Trump is telling Merz to buy weapons, especially Patriots. 3 Patriots, I believe, is what Trump is telling Merz, to purchase those systems and send them to Project Ukraine. Merz, from what I read, is telling Trump, okay, but let me go back to my people in Germany and get their approval. And France is actually coming up with the excuse that they do not want to purchase the weapons from the United States, because France is saying that they would rather develop their own weapons industry and have that weapons industry send weapons to Project Ukraine. So you can already see the trouble in this NATO is going to buy our weapons and send it to Project Ukraine. Laundering scam. scheme. Did I say scam? I meant scheme. Anyway, that's one of the big problems there, is that you're going to have countries, the European countries, are going to tell the Trump administration, yeah, but we don't want to buy weapons from the US MIC, or we don't have the money to buy weapons from the US MIC. And Trump is going to put pressure on them to say, no, you're going to buy these weapons. And they're going to say, no, why doesn't the US buy these weapons? And Trump is going to say, yeah, but the US, we cannot really buy these weapons, or at least I cannot buy them openly, because then America First and MAGA is going to be very upset with me, because I promised that the US would not do the same stupid things that the Biden administration did, which is give weapons to Project Ukraine. So I can't make it seem as if the United States is buying weapons from the United States and giving it to Project Ukraine. So Europeans, you guys need to buy the weapons. And so you're going to have this back and forth going on, because the problem with this NATO plan is what I was talking about yesterday in my video update. It's what we were talking about on the Duran with Alexander. NATO is not built for this type of thing. That's the issue. It's not what they do, purchasing weapons and then sending them onwards. So the member states have to step up. One of the member states is the United States, right? The biggest, most important, wealthiest member state is the US. So problems are already starting with this brilliant plan that they've come up with. So what else? What else should we discuss? How about an Epstein update? Mike Johnson, he was being interviewed, the Speaker of the House, yesterday, and it looks like Mike Johnson is all for releasing the Epstein files, is according to Politico. And Trump was asked once again about the client list that doesn't exist, or is it the client list that is that was made up by Obama, that is fake? I don't know. It doesn't exist. It's made up by Obama, Comey, Biden, Hillary, whatever. He was asked about Epstein and the client list. And Trump, once again, said that this client list was made up by Obama. He says, I don't understand. He just can't understand why people are interested in this Epstein guy.
President, I know you've urged people to move on, but I'm curious, why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled? Why do you think that is? I don't understand it.
Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life. I don't understand what the interest or what the fascination is. I really don't. And the credible information's been given. Don't forget, we went through years of the Mueller witch hunt and all of the different things, the Steele dossier, which was all fake. All that information was fake. But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think, well, really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say, let them have it.
I don't get it either, President Trump. I really don't. I don't understand what the interest is with this Epstein guy. I'm with you, man. Why are people interested in this guy, right? Just because he may have been running, well, you know, he may have been running one of the most despicable, horrific blackmail operations backed by an intel agency or intel agencies in the history of the world. I don't know. It's no biggie, if you ask me. I don't understand why people are interested in this Epstein guy, Trump said. But anyway, Trump said, you know what? I don't understand why they're interested in this guy. But Trump said that he is going to tell Bondi to release the documents that she feels are credible.
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, you know, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden, we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release, yeah.
That is what Trump said. Release the files. I want to get the quote. Whatever she thinks is credible is what he said for Pam Bondi. He is going to allow Pam Bondi to release whatever she thinks is credible, I believe is the exact quote. Whatever she thinks is credible. Okay? Whatever she thinks is credible, she now has Trump's approval to release it. Oh boy, this one is not going away. It's not going to go away until a special counsel is appointed and until all the documents are released in full. That's the only way this thing will even begin to go away. So that's the update on Epstein. Let's do some other news and we can wrap up this video update. So yesterday I said that the 18th sanctions package from the EU had been approved. Wrong. It looks like they have not been approved. Slovakia, Fico blocked the 18th sanctions package. He called it an imbecile act. The government coalition rejects the imbecile proposal of the European Commission to stop the flow of Russian gas from 2028, Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico said. Fico also said in his statement that most likely this will be the final time that Slovakia will be able to veto the sanctions package. I'm not sure why this will be the final time for them to veto. Maybe there's some provision in the way voting is done where a member state can veto something only so many times, and then maybe it just goes to a majority or something like that. Instead of having it be unanimous, maybe it goes to a majority. I don't know, but Fico said that this is going to be the final time that Slovakia will be able to enact its veto. Hungary is calling for sanctions on Ukraine because of the death of the Hungarian citizen who they were trying to send to the front line. Hungary calls on the EU to sanction Ukraine over recruit death. Budapest has accused Kiev's recruitment officers of beating Joseph Sebastian to death for resisting conscription. Right on, man. I'm with Orban on this one. Absolutely. The European Union should sanction Ukraine for the alleged murder of a Hungarian citizen, an EU citizen, right? So you have an EU state, an EU member state, telling the EU that it needs to take action and sanction a non-EU member state because that non-EU member state allegedly murdered this father of two by trying to force him to go to the front lines. And Ursula is going to tell Orban she doesn't care. That is exactly what's going to happen. She's not even going to respond to Orban or respond to Hungary. She's going to tell Orban, we've got tools and we're going to try to figure out a way to remove you from your position as prime minister in Hungary. That's going to be Ursula's response to Orban. But Orban is spot on here in saying that there should be some sort of sanctions against Ukraine. And finally, we have the Financial Times article with the title, Donald Trump asked Zelensky if Ukraine could hit Moscow, say people briefed on the call. Now, the sources that the Financial Times is using in this article are the usual, very reliable sources. Two people familiar with the conversation between Trump and Zelensky, and a Western official who had been informed on the call. So, sourcing this reporting, the Financial Times is referencing people familiar with the conversation and a Western official who had been informed on the call, which basically means it could be anybody. It could be anybody that is telling the Financial Times. Where am I? Let's go this way. Telling the Financial Times that Trump had a phone call with Zelensky after, it was on July 4th, after he had the phone call with Putin, the phone call that he said did not go well. He then had a phone call immediately right after with Zelensky. And people familiar with the conversation and a Western official who had been informed of the call told the Financial Times that President Trump asked Zelensky if he could strike Moscow and St. Petersburg, and Zelensky told Putin, if you give me right weapons, President Trump, I do it. Podolyak. Yes, Mr. President. That's right. That is what these sources familiar with the conversation tell the Financial Times. Now, I'm not saying this didn't happen. This might have happened. Probably a good chance that Trump, in his frustration and anger, probably threw something like this towards Zelensky. Who knows? Maybe it wasn't worded in this exact way, but possible. It's possible. But still, these articles that are referencing Western officials, whatever that means, and people familiar with the conversation, could be anybody. It could freaking be anybody. And these are very serious allegations, to be quite honest. So the White House was asked for a comment, and I believe the White House denied that President Trump said something like this. And Trump was asked by a reporter, should Zelensky strike Moscow with long-range missiles? And Trump told the reporter, he asked the reporter twice, say it again. He didn't hear the first time, or he was making it out to be as if he didn't hear the reporter the first time. Then the reporter asked the question again, and Trump said no, he should not strike Moscow. And we are getting reports that the JSAMs, the long-range missiles, are not going to be sent to Ukraine. Maybe because of this Financial Times report, who knows?
No, he shouldn't target Moscow.
Anyway, if you're going to run an article like this, Financial Times, with this kind of allegation, very serious allegation, that the United States of America, the president of the USA, is asking Ukraine, his proxy, if they can attack Moscow, I think you need better sources than people familiar with this conversation. Who did the Financial Times ask? Did they ask Podolyak? Could be Podolyak, right? People familiar with the conversation. Maybe the Financial Times interviewed Podolyak. And they asked Podolyak, what did President Trump say on the call? And Podolyak said, can you hit Moscow? Who knows? who they're talking about. Anyway, that is the Financial Times article update. And I think we can get to a clown world. And this clown world is courtesy of Stunning and Brave, Kallas. So Kallas, can't fool her, man. You definitely cannot fool her. She was asked about Trump's 50-day ultimatum and his 100% tariff plan and NATO purchasing weapons from the United States and sending the weapons to the EU, specifically to Ukraine, specifically EU member states purchasing the weapons and from the United States and sending those weapons to Project Ukraine. And Kallas said, and I quote, "If you promise to give the weapons, but say someone else is going to pay for it, it is not really given by you, is it?"
Well, if we pay for these weapons, it's our support. So it's European support. And we are doing as much as we can to help Ukraine. And therefore, the call is that everybody would do the same. It's, if you promise to give the weapons, but say that somebody else is going to pay for it, it's not really given by you, is it?
She cracked the case. Kallas cracked the case, man. Can't fool her, man. She figured it out. She figured out exactly what Trump is trying to do. I didn't see it. I didn't understand. I don't think anyone understood what Trump's angle was. But Kallas, she figured it out. Trump wants EU members to buy the weapons from the United States and send them to Project Ukraine. And Kallas figured it all out, man. Yeah? Can't fool her. Cannot fool her. Anyway, that's the video, theduran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. And go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch like what I am wearing in this video update. There is a link in the description box down below. Take care.